Hi, Dave Smith from DJS Photography here, continuing my series of black and white photography videos showing the complete process from the camera, shooting, all the way through to printing. I showed an overview of this Fuji GX680 medium format system, just a very brief overview previously, and this video is about starting to get into some of the detail. And I'm going to start off by loading the camera with film, both of the backs. So I'm going to start by taking it out of here and putting it onto its tripod. Then we're going to load the two cassettes, one in the back and one spare. There we go. So that's the camera loaded onto the tripod, and I'm just going to spin that around a little so that we can get to the back. Okay, so that's a spare. I'll put that out of the way. I'm going to use ADOX CHS25 art film. It's 25 ASA film. I shoot it at about 12 ASA because I like to have an extra stop in my negatives. First thing then is the spare cassette, and what I'm going to do is load these up, then I will do some shooting and I'll show you that as well. Then I'm going to wet process these films, and I'm going to show that process as well. Let's see how to load one of these things. First off, if you're not used to medium format, it's a little different. In 35mm, you'd get your canister, you'd put your canister in the left hand side of your camera, draw the leader tape across, put it onto a take-up spool. When you've finished, the camera rewinds it all back into the canister, you take the canister out. Here, on medium format, the camera will wind the film from one spool completely onto the other, and you take that spool away. So here we go. So this is a spool that's been used, so I have to switch that across to this side. Let's just get that out of the way. There we go, and flick that down. There we go, so that's now going to be the take-up spool. On the top, I'm not sure whether you'll see this, but I'll try and show you. You can see there's a little diagram to show how the film needs to lead. Okay? So let's get some film out first of all. So out of the little can these things come in. This is astounding film if you've never used it. Kind of difficult to work with. It's a very thin film base, so it does tend to curl somewhat, but the grain is virtually non-existent. And you may like that, but of course you may not. Sometimes I will use T-Max 400 just for the grain. Okay, so there's the film. I'm going to break the seal. We've seen that before on the processing videos. This is the seal that's for loading. And if I look at my diagram, what I need to do is load this film so that the film is going to come out of the back and around this roller here to the back there. So it's going to go on this way around. So let's just flip that out of the way and get that in there. So that's that. Okay, so it comes out off this spool here, round the roller, over to this side, and goes underneath this take-up spool. Let me try and do that so you can see it. The whole point of these things, I guess. There we go. So you can see I've followed the path described there. Now I need to get that leader just tucked inside that take-up spool like so. And then what I'm going to do is just roll that on until, now on this side I can just see this big black arrow here. I'm going to roll that around until that arrow becomes visible this. So there we go. So that's just the spare loaded, that's ready to go. When I put that in the camera, and you'll get this in a moment, the camera will load that for me right to the start of frame 1. So that's a spare loaded up. Let's have a look at the version inside the camera. So I open the camera back like so. Back just opens up. Then just turn that a little bit further so you can see that. These two pieces here clip and it just comes out like so. Now remember, I've got the same problem here. Excuse me. I need to move this spool across because that's now going to be my take-up spool. Rather irritating, it's fallen off there. I'm trying not to lose that little piece. I'm going to take my other piece of film, my other ADOX R25. Take that out. Turn that out for a wrapper. I'm going to break the seal just as we did before. And remember, it's got to go out of the back around this spool here. A little white devil is coming off there. Just keep that on there for now. Flip that out of the way. And so it's going to go this way up, so that it's going to pull out around the back of that spool. There we go. So I'm just going to slot that in there so that it's not getting lost. There we are. And then that comes out to the back of here, around this way, up the back of this take-up spool, and that little tongue is going to slot into there, and then I'm literally just going to wind that on, just so that that arrow has become visible. Then I'm going to slot that back in there, and it just clicks into place. Back, close, lock it. I will take this forwards because I just want to slot the battery on. Don't worry if you can't see that, I'm going to go through this again later. I literally just want to get this ready to go. Now over here, let me wind that back a little ways for you. There we go. So remember, I've got my mode selector dial here. That's going to go on there. Now that's battery warning light is flashing, so there's something happening here that the camera's not liking, and I think I know what it is. I'm going to remove the dark slide. There's a little slot for the dark slide to live there so you don't lose the thing. How thoughtful is that? And there we go. Camera's winding the film on. Done. Battery light's no longer flashing. It's holding steady. So the camera is ready to take its first shot. No, we're not going to do that yet. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to return the dark slide. The camera won't function whilst the dark slide is set in there. It will flash to tell you that something's wrong, and unfortunately you have to work out what it is that's wrong. Okay, so that's just the process of loading a spare cassette and the film back itself. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the ISO setting down here. Only goes down to 25, and remember, I like to give an extra exposure, an extra stop of exposure, and so I will deal with that separately. But there's a video to show the loading of the medium format camera in the Fuji GX680 system. Okay.